What's your scariest paranormal experience? When I was a kid, my favorite uncle was the youngest in the family. He was my hero. He had just finished high school and I was like 10 or 11. We would go and visit on spring break and over the course of the summer, and I always looked forward to seeing the guy. We'd listen to records and tapes, and he introduced me to bands like The Cult and Inks, The Doors, Bowie, Stevie Ray Vaughan. As I entered my teenage years, my life started, and my friends became the center of my universe, and those spring break and summer visits eventually stopped happening. Eventually I graduated high school, and around the same time my uncle started a family. A few years out of high school, and my mom called me up and let me know my uncle had passed away. I hadn't seen him in a few years, and when I asked what happened, the only reply I could get was he was sick. It wasn't until years later I found out he had taken his own life. He didn't leave a note or anything, but the general consensus was he learned he didn't have long to live and took the easy way out. Here's where things get interesting for me. Shortly after the funeral, I start having dreams. I'm a pretty lucid dreamer, not in the sense that I can decide what I want to happen in a dream, but I can recall my dreams in vivid detail. Maybe there's another word for that, I don't know. Anyways, I started having dreams about my uncle. Sometimes we were just sitting in his room from when I was a kid, listening to music and making jokes. Over time, they became very strange. One dream I had, we were in a movie theater, sitting really close to the screen, and we were eating popcorn. The screen was playing something, but I couldn't distinguish what it was. And my uncle was talking, but I could not figure out what he was trying to say. Another was the two of us in a hallway, and all the doors were locked. The most troubling dream I had about the guy, which was also the most recurring, is when I would find him sitting at a rope bridge. He would stare at this bridge and get up and try to walk across it, but there were snakes that would strike at him when he tried to cross. A snake would snip at him, and he'd go back to where he was sitting and just look at me, then look at the bridge. So I'd walk onto this bridge and look across, and every few feet is a very angry snake, all the way across. I grabbed my uncle's hand and took him out on the bridge. He'd be apprehensive because of the snakes, so I stood in front of him and kind of hopped up and down on the bridge. The momentum, or whatever you call it, from me bouncing on this rickety old bridge made the snakes angry, but if you bounced enough on it, the snakes would eventually teeter over the side. It was a very strange, eureka kind of dream. So my uncle would step out onto the bridge, walk a few feet, bounce the bridge so the snakes would fall off,